This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Today's episode of the Motor City Sports Rant is brought to you by Score, a new mobile app coming to you very soon. Score is an interactive game that lets users win deals at bars and restaurants based on what's going on in live sporting events. Find new places to watch the game and save money on your bill at the same time by taking advantage of Score's unique interactive specials that give you an additional stake in the action. A Score special can be anything a location wants it to be, from 10% off an item if a team scores a touchdown to a free round of drinks if the quarterback throws for 400 yards. Any stat can be turned into a game. Pick the deals you want to win, watch the games you want to watch, and score deals in real time. The app will update when your teams or players record a relevant stat. When the conditions of your deals are met, coupons are sent to your device to show to your server or bartender. It's that easy. Score is coming to the App Store and Google Play very soon. For more information, check them out on the web at score-app.io and follow them on Twitter and Instagram at ScoreDeals. Score. Watch games. Score deals.
Detroit is the greatest!
Straight up light you on fire for a Coney dog right now.
Darren McCarty comes back with Neiman in front of him. McCarty draws. McCarty in. McCarty!
Stafford takes, throws, end zone, Calvin, touchdown, Detroit Lions!
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Motor City Sports Rant on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. I feel alive and I feel awake, and I think it's because I'm just so angry at the Lions, and this is my natural state, is being angry at the Lions and not being optimistic and just wanting to burn the world down. But I can't leave out my friend, my co-host, my man with all the phones, John, the Doc Macaroon. What's up, sir?
Always enjoy the conversation, my friend. What an interesting weekend, obviously. I know we're going to talk about the Lions and their epic implosion in Baltimore, but I want to start with how hilarious it was regarding the whole ordeal with the implosion of the Silverdome. Okay, for me, I really desperately wanted to go and see it because I thought it would be cool. I thought that, when you get a chance to go to the Pontiac Silverdome, you have a nice view from a lot of parking lots. So I thought it would be really nice to go see, a building get destroyed, get toppled down. So I'm like, okay, the original plan last week was to go, be there by 8 a.m. in the morning, go see what would have happened, okay? But, Saturday night, the UFC was on in Detroit. And one of the first times ever that I took advantage of live streaming free on Periscope. I was just scrolling through Twitter. All of a sudden, some dude had a really nice feed going on. And as you know, with the podcast, we follow so many people. It just popped up. And I was disappointed because my wife was going out and she was like, can I go out? And I'm like, well, I kind of wanted to go watch the UFC, hang out. She's like, hey, I want to go hang out and da-da-da-da-da. So I'm like, fine, it's okay. It's the UFC. There's so many. Yeah, there's so many. But I watched the whole thing, the whole card, several knockouts on the internet for free. It was awesome.
I got to give you props first for doing the right thing as a husband and letting your wife go out. Did you actually get to watch it on just one feed, or do you have to switch around a couple times?
I know sometimes people say the feed cuts out, but this dude, I think, paid for it and then streamed it from his computer via Periscope. And this guy was adding graphics. I think he was a foreign dude. I don't know what he was doing because he was asking questions like, are you guys okay with a little bit of a lag? But it was high-quality feed. I watched the entire card from 10 to 12:30. So I wait up for the wife. She came home about 2 a.m. And then I started thinking, along the way watching the UFC, I'm like, do I really want to go to the Silverdome? Do I really want to get up that early? Can I even make it? I knew the address, but when you go by yourself, you figure, okay, where am I going to go? How's this going to go down? So I decided I'm not doing it. I'm not going to go. I had a feeling it was going to be on Facebook Live. It was going to be on all the television stations. So I woke up right at 8 o'clock. My body just woke up. I went to bed about 3, got up at 8. And I was excited. I'm like, okay, they're going to do it. And I watched Fox 2 with Ryan Ermani and his co-host, and they were going and they were talking and sharing some memories about the Silverdome. And the time comes to implode the Silverdome. And they show the smoke coming out. They show the dynamite exploding. And we're waiting, and nothing happened. And right away, Ryan Ermani picked up on it. He's like, I don't think what happened is indicative of what was supposed to happen. And then they proceeded to stall for about 30 minutes trying to explain what was going on. But the moment I realized it didn't work, I just laughed my ass off. The city of Pontiac and the Adamo group botched an implosion. Have you ever heard of a botched implosion? The Silverdome was able to withstand dynamite explosion. It was so apropos for everything, and all the jokes, the memes, the national attention regarding how the Lions messed this up was super hilarious, in my opinion.
I mean, it's par for the course. And I know that was the first thing that I thought of. And I'm assuming that everyone else thought of is it's so Lions.
It's so hilarious.
It's something that you would think be pretty simple. We just saw it. I mean, what was the other stadium that just got imploded that went off without a hitch? And comes to the Silverdome, the blast goes off, it's still standing. I mean, one of my favorite memes out there was the before implosion and after implosion, and it's still standing.
And I understood the notion that it wasn't going to topple the building. The first plan was to just set off dynamite so that the top rungs would come down, but nothing happened. And they said that the structures were weakened, but it was a complete failure. And one of the biggest failures was like 10% of the dynamite didn't go off. 10% of the explosives just did not work. I would have been livid. I would have been pissed because this is a situation where you got to get it right. You had people come to watch it. You invited people. The sad part was you had dignitaries. You had VIPs like Lomas Brown, like other individuals who had played for you and your organization sitting there watching, taking video, and nothing happened. And it's really unfortunate. You know, people said beforehand that it was going to be a little bit disappointing. It was cool to see the explosion, but for nothing to happen, it kind of was embarrassing.
Now, what I want to know is it just going to like fall apart at some point? Or are they like waiting for that? Or are they going to try and go in and set off the rest of those explosives? Because that was my concern, is that they said that, you know, there were some that didn't go off, but I mean,
that was the talk. They tried to save face. They tried to say, well, the structure's weakened. It could fall down on its own. The process to completely eliminate the Silverdome is going to take 6 months.
Yeah.
But in the end...
Can we just go throw some rocks at it and maybe knock it over?
In the end, the damage was done. I mean, everybody thought that the top part of the rungs would come down and it would start the process, but they might have to do it again.
Maybe if we get all of Ford Field to go there and maybe jump up and down a little bit, maybe get that thing to wiggle down.
I can't believe how embarrassing that was, Jason. I mean, how do you mess that up? For the sake of the organization and the city of Pontiac, don't you think maybe they should just topple the entire thing? Just do it once and just topple the whole thing.
It needs to go. I mean, all those cars are there, aren't they? Mm-hmm. All those stupid Volkswagens. So, whatever. Just get rid of it. I can't wait till it's gone. There are great memories there. Lots of bad memories as well. Do you have a best and worst memory at the Silverdome?
I went to a couple games. I was at the Ettinger game.
So was I. I was going to say that was probably my least favorite one.
Yeah, right?
I was also there it was a Monday night game against the Rams when it was the greatest show on turf. And me and my brother we were up in one of the high up sections, and it was a section with all Rams fans, and we got blown out 40-10. Any best memory?
Oh man, me and my buddy Ken, we used to from time to time spend a little bit and sit in the middle section there, the club section, and watch some good contests. I mean, we went to the Bengals game, seen a couple fights in the stands. I always enjoy kind of walking through into the stadium and then walking back over the bridge and kind of discussing, the Lions and stuff like that. So I was still a little bit young in the Silverdome era. Most of my memories were created at Ford Field, but I do remember really the pain of what it was like to leave the Silverdome when the Lions lost, because the anger and frustration, it was literally maybe 50 people screaming, "I'll never support this team. This will always happen to us." And you got to remember, Jason, this is 1999.
Yep.
1999, and that set off the precedent to start a new regime, which ended up being the Matt Millen regime. But when I look back at the Silverdome, a lot of people have a lot of great memories, but the biggest memory people would have was the victory, 1991 versus Dallas. I mean, I watched it at a friend's house and enjoyed the contest, and everyone always remembers John Madden saying, "Oh my gosh, these are the two teams in the '90s. They're going to take over."
Yeah, everyone wants to remind us of that.
And were the Lions a team of the '90s? Actually,
they were okay.
They were okay. They made the playoffs every other year for the most part.
They had Barry Sanders. I'd have to go. My two was my first game ever. It was the first year the Jacksonville Jaguars were in the league. They came here and we shut them out, and I think we beat them 40-0 or something. And distinctively, the Jaguars made it down to the goal line, and we held them, and we had a turnover on downs. That, and I was fortunate enough to go to the last game that ever played at the Silverdome, the Dallas game that they won. because, I mean, it was unfortunate because it was rescheduled because of 9/11. That was supposed to be like the first game of the season, but ended up being final game of the Silverdome. So, I mean, it was just a great experience to be there. It was what I grew up with. I mean, the Lions are my team, good or bad. I'm gonna ride with them. It's kind of sad to see the Silverdome go, but knowing what it's like right now, it's nowhere even close to what it was. I mean, I'll always remember it as, max capacity, being the loudest place I've ever been.
All right, Jason. Now you fast forward to 1 p.m. Going into the game, I had a feeling they weren't going to play well. I thought that they were going to win the game. I didn't think that they were going to implode literally on the football field.
Coming off 10 days, I expected them to come out. This is good. This is a game that you need.
You're desperate.
I mean, pretty much every game.
Where's
now
the desperation?
You need, and that's the performance that we got coming right out the gate.
What was the stat? 36-3. You've been outscored the last 3 football contests. How embarrassing is that? 36-3. You're behind again to a team that, by all accounts, is not that good.
They're like the 31st ranked offense, I think.
It's just a team, the Lions. Many people have shifted their focus now with the organization after this loss. I mean, people are like, okay, they're now ready to jump on board the Doc's opinion and saying, look, Caldwell's just a stopgap coach. Let's get rid of him.
And I count myself.
You tweeted us.
Unfortunately, I'm on it because up until this point, I still thought that they were going in the right direction. That, Caldwell makes some bonehead moves, but he doesn't get credit a lot of times for the good stuff that happens. I'm done with that. I can't handle all the predictability of this offense, that they can't come out. We've seen at times where they've come right out the gate and they start fast and then they slow down. And it's essentially reversed this season to where we can't start a game, but, second quarter, third quarter, we finally get it going. But by that point, we don't have a defense that can completely shut down a team and let us get back in this game. And the offense still just makes bonehead mistakes. We can't make good calls. I don't know. It's really frustrating because I want to be positive about this Lions.
Go Lions! Yeah!
That person, I can't be that guy right now.
You ready?
The only thing I can really be positive about is Tion Green. I think he looked like a really good running back, but I'm sure he'll find some way to disappoint me in the next coming weeks.
The really sad part, Jason, looking at what happened with the Lions, is they looked unprepared. They looked like they weren't coached at all. Golden Tate kind of said some things, if you read between the lines, that kind of indicates some problems that maybe the locker room's tuned out Jim Caldwell. I mean, he's saying, like, in years past, we used to start getting better at this time in the season. We would play good. This is one of the rare losses in December for Jim Caldwell.
Well, I mean, Golden Tate needs to be better, too. I know he's probably frustrated that he doesn't get as many balls thrown his way, that Matt Stafford might be looking a little bit further down the field with Marvin Jones and Kenny Galladay. But Golden Tate needs to step his game up too. Watching him, how many times would just catch the ball and run? How many times did he catch it on the sideline and make I'm going to make a move because I get all my yards after the catch, and he just ends up getting tackled. And it's like, if you would have just kept running, we would have maybe gotten a first down. Maybe we're not punting. We're not in a bad third down situation.
It was a frustrating game.
Nobody gets a pass this game.
It was super frustrating because who played really bad? TJ Lang was poor. He got bowled over on a couple running plays. Rick Wagner's
Taylor
hurt.
Decker was okay.
At
times.
The offensive line has been a huge problem. You're still seeing Matthew Stafford take a bunch of hits. That can't happen. So what area of the game, what area of the Lions' performance would you say was positive? Not many. Nothing. I mean, look, who's the guy that we counted on? Matt Prater. He got outplayed by Tucker.
Yeah, you're the guy who's calling him MVP.
Well, if he misses kicks, they didn't play that good, right?
Jackass.
So maybe do you think that the loss of momentum from Matt Prater missing, definitely devastating when your MVP is not performing?
Shut up, John.
When your MVP doesn't show up to play, the real MVP was Tucker, man. Oh, my God. That dude was balling. I mean, I knew he was good from his rookie season, but
you saw
his money.
Last year in the Pro Bowl, that was when they went back and forth between Prater and Tucker. They can easily kick 75-yard field goals, but when it comes to, a 30-yard chip shot or an extra point, Prater's always a hit or miss. Maybe he was hitting the sauce the night before. I don't know.
That's what the joke was what's going on there. But first and foremost, how can the Lions show up late to another football contest. I mean, literally, why is it that you're not ready to go? The playoffs are on the line. It's super important. If you lose the game, basically you're putting yourself in a position where you got to win each and every contest in the next 4 weeks.
No excuse. Green Bay won. They're now tied with you. And the team that you needed to lose, the Seattle Seahawks, they just went and they demolished the Eagles. So you're now another game behind those guys.
And the Falcons lost. You could have gained ground. You could have gained ground with the victory. All you had to do is go out there and play. I mean, people were thinking that how is Baltimore going to score? And they were just able to pick apart. And you know what's embarrassing? Who put together the game plan for the Ravens? Marty freaking Morningweg. He realized, even he could see it on film. The Lions defense can't stop the tight end. Every key play in the first half, they'd go to the tight end. Couple touchdowns.
Play action to the tight end.
Play action to the tight end.
The exact same touchdown 2 times in a row.
Are you serious? Right. Exactly. It's just how, at this point in time, do you improve that? Because all Caldwell says is, we're going to improve that. It's my fault. We got to improve that. There are no answers. And so people like you, many fans, I was already on that train. I knew right away that I don't see a scenario in which Caldwell is going to get better as a coach. This is just getting worse. The 9 men on the field, the inability to know exactly when to challenge a football play hasn't gotten better. And you would say, well, if the coaching staff is not getting better, I'm thinking seriously that Jim Bob Cooter and Terrell Austin are regressing working with Caldwell. That the meeting with him, Jim Caldwell is negatively affecting the coaching staff because Jim Bob Cooter seemed like he knew what he was doing when he first came up. Terrell Austin had the Lions with the number 2 defense. All of a sudden, how do they get worse? They've gotten worse. The coaching staff has literally gotten worse as the season progressed over the better part now of the last 12 months. How is that possible?
It's not possible, and there's no excuse for it. Anybody who wants to, even if you're not questioning Caldwell being the coach, I mean, there's no reason you can't be it right now and say that there's any question about Caldwell sticking around. Anybody who's like, oh, he shouldn't be on the hot seat. Yes, he absolutely should be. There's no reason why this is acceptable. This isn't acceptable. We should expect to be going to the playoffs every single year. We should expect to compete in football games. And we're not competing for 4 freaking quarters.
Now, Jason, here's
Get
the part.
prepared for you work. This is what you do for a living.
8 hours a day, sometimes more, right? What are you doing? Exactly. But there is a little bit of a silver lining ahead in that the next 4 contests are against teams that are struggling right now.
Is it a silver lining?
I think
Is
so.
it a silver lining that we'll have a sham? If we get 4 wins in a row, it's going to be a sham?
I don't see 4 wins. I see a 9-7 record, 1 loss. It might be to Cincinnati or
Green Bay.
In devastating fashion, if Aaron Rodgers comes back and gets rolling, there could be 2 9-6 football teams trying to get into the postseason. So it could happen again. But realistically, you can't count on the Lions to win 4 games. I bet you the knockout blow probably could be Cincinnati on the road. You got a situation over there in Cincinnati where you got Coach Marvin Lewis, and he's a guy that can't get postseason wins consistently in his tenure. That would be definitely ironic if the Lions go out to Cincinnati and don't handle their business.
I don't know. I can't get excited about this team. If we go out there, let's say we do win the rest and we squeak into the playoff picture, that'll probably be the worst case scenario for this team. I'm almost at the point, I hate being this way, but we're almost at the point where we're better off losing. We're better off missing the playoffs.
What does it say about us? Should we root for that? Should Lions fans root for the Lions to lose every game to guarantee?
I don't want to root for that. I never want to root for them to lose. But that's the better scenario right now. Because right now, I think the best case scenario, or I take that back, because best case scenario is they make it in the playoffs and they make some sort of crazy run. But realistically, the best you can hope for this Lions team right now is a squeak into the playoffs. So you're getting in at the 6th seed. So you're going in the wild card. And currently, you'd be facing the Los Angeles Rams or the New Orleans Saints at their place. Those are 2 teams I have no confidence that they can win those games.
No confidence, right? I mean, how do you?
They already lost to the Saints big time, and the Rams, they're putting up points. They've got it going. You talked about it last week with their new coach that he came in and he's completely fixed that team with Jared Goff and Todd Gurley. Their defense is ridiculous too.
And Jason,
we're just the best case scenario is that you get in the playoffs and then you get smoked again, and then it buys another year for Jim Caldwell.
Jason, look at the irony. What happened to Matthew Stafford at the end of the game? He gets his hand stepped on, and why couldn't
they tell that? It took them like 10 minutes to realize that he's got his hand stepped on. Everyone was like, "Oh, you got it trapped, dude." He got it stepped on.
Everyone could see it, right, with one simple replay. The fascinating part is, again, 4 games left, like last year, hurt himself. This time around, it's more severe because it's his throwing hand. But you look at the situation with Stafford, he's okay, he's performing, but he's also part of the problem in that one of the key plays in the game, he completely misread a blitz. In that it's your job to pick up the blitz and not get your ass sacked, 1. And 2, if you do go down, you can't fumble the ball for the other team to get it. Had that play gone well, you had Golden Tate going right in the middle, right there, open for a big play. So everyone says
try to spin it around. And
some people are debating whether that was on him or not, but most people are looking at the film and saying he probably missed the blitz.
I look at that play and it happened so fast that I get it. If you get that ball off and you're immediately looking at Golden Tate, I think he can make that throw. I think even if he's still, watching it again, and this is just my perspective, I think even if he would have saw it and would have been able to get the ball out, I think it would have been hit almost immediately as he threw, and it would be pretty much up in the air if the ball gets there at that point.
Okay, Jason, I've been working on this for a couple of weeks. I think there's a small chance Jim Caldwell, the head coach, I know he listens to the podcast. He's a big fan. I think there's a chance you and I can ask him a couple questions. You think he'll answer honestly?
Are you serious?
I think he's going to answer honestly.
We can get the man himself, the man that we've been berating this entire podcast.
I think there's a strong chance.
And we can talk to him?
I think there's a small chance.
Some questions.
Because of the fact
he's got some explaining to do.
I got a huge reach. Alyanka Larionov showed up to the office. A lot of people want to have a conversation with us. People from other podcast networks are wondering what's going on with us. Reporters are tagging us in their articles to get some more exposure. So we're doing some good things. We were able to send Vito out to Buffalo and get him on the field to cover Buffalo versus the New England Patriots. So the network's doing some things. So let's see if we can punch up Jim Caldwell and see if he will give us a real interview. Hey, Jim, you there? Joining us, head coach Jim Caldwell, Detroit Lions.
We did. It was a communication problem, so I got to get that fixed.
Can you hear me?
We did. It was a communication problem, so I got to get that fixed.
Okay, see, obviously you must have a bad connection going on here. You think we should try him again? Should I hang up on him and try again?
Let's just keep it. Let's keep it rolling.
Okay.
I think he's there. He might just be able to hear us, and maybe he'll give us some more insight into what's going on.
Joining us, head coach of the Detroit Lions, Jim Caldwell. Welcome to the Detroit Sports Podcast. Can you hear us?
That's the big thing. I just think, it'll act like, I know the media will paint it as the sky is falling. Sky is not falling for us. So,
Let's get into that, Coach Caldwell. I think one of the big things that the fans in Detroit are kind of wondering is your ability in game to handle some things has really been questioned. What's your reaction to the fans wondering about your ability to manage games in the NFL?
That's wrong. Should never happen. That's my fault. Plain and simple. My fault. Plain and simple.
So I know that you're saying it's your fault, but on the play where you get the sack fumble and then it immediately turns into a situation where you only have 9 guys on the field. You're not calling a timeout. You're not throwing a red challenge flag. Is that saying anything about your coordinators or anything like that? What can you say about that?
We did. It was a communication problem, so I got to get that fixed.
Jim, are you giving us canned answers here? Are you being real with us?
That's wrong. Should never happen. That's my fault. Plain and simple. My fault. Plain and simple.
I thought when we agreed to this interview, you were going to give us like a real interview because of the time that you spent we spent watching you in Allen Park. I drove all the way out there to set up this interview. I don't understand why you're not taking this seriously.
We did. It was a communication problem, so I got to get that fixed.
Can you give us an explanation? What's going on with the running back situation? Amir Abdullah's out, and is he going to stay out? Or we got Tion Green, but we still seeing a lot of Zach Zenner. What's happening with that running back situation?
That's the big thing. I just think it'll act like I know the media will paint it as the sky is falling. Sky is not falling for us. So,
Jim, I'm getting to be a little disappointed. Are you reading off the same 3 answers to our questions? I thought we were going to really talk some football. Jason and I have been waiting almost 2 years to have this conversation.
We did. It was a communication problem, so I got to get that fixed.
So you're not going to take this seriously, really?
We did. It was a communication problem, so I got to get that fixed.
So you got 4 games left, and you're still in the playoff hunt. There's some who might say that you should maybe look at the rest of your players on your roster. Matt Stafford nursing a bad hand. Maybe we go with Jake Rudock. Should we look at tanking the rest of the season?
That's wrong. Should never happen. That's my fault. Plain and simple. My fault. Plain and simple.
Are you being told to answer this way? Are you being told what to say because we're a podcast?
We did. It was a communication problem, so I got to get that fixed.
See, Jason, I think we're not going to get anywhere, Coach.
Is Martha Firestone Ford pulling your strings?
We did. It was a communication problem, so I got to get that fixed.
I mean, recently, in recent press conferences, you've been saying that some of the issues with the Lions are your fault. Many people are looking at that and saying, well, yes, you are the head coach of the Lions, but is it ever going to get fixed?
That's wrong. Should never happen. That's my fault. Plain and simple. Right. My fault. Plain and simple.
All right, Coach, I'm sorry. We're going to have to cut this short. I mean, we're disappointed here. I thought that you were going to be real with us. Just like everybody else, we're all just disappointed in the way that you've approached this interview.
We did. It was a communication problem, so I got to get that fixed.
Would you say it's your fault that this interview isn't going the way that we want it to?
That's wrong. Should never happen. That's my fault. Plain and simple. My fault. Plain and simple.
Well, thank you for taking responsibility for that, Jim.
See, Jason, this is what I'm always talking about. You get excited. We had a chance to reach out to Coach Caldwell, and that's what we got. He gave us the PC version. He told me, he promised me that, oh, look at that.
He hung up.
He didn't even say goodbye.
He was tired of you, man.
He didn't even say goodbye. See, this is what happens when you get excited. You have an opportunity to talk to Coach. I thought that he was going to be real. I don't even know if that was really him. I think he was pushing a button.
Yeah,
I think
it sounded a little too quick.
Do you think, I can't believe he would do that to us. Do you think he came on and just gave pre-recorded answers and just pushed a button?
I think the bigger question was it Rod Wood or Martha Firestone Ford playing those buttons?
I can't believe it.
Is Jim Caldwell tied up?
Right.
We need to put his face on a milk carton. Has anybody seen Jim Caldwell recently?
It's disappointing, Jason. I thought we had a real chance to talk some football, maybe to establish some common ground, but...
Well, we can still talk football.
We will. We have to talk about...
It seems like we know a little bit more.
Before we take a break, 4 games left. What do you think the record will be after 4 games?
9-7.
9-7 it is. That's what I think, too.
No.
10-6, baby.
8-8.
8-8, 2-2? No, I think they go 3-1. I think one of the two, Cincinnati or Green Bay, they lose. Next 2, I think they'll handle their business. Tampa's not that solid. But if they are going to lose, if they're not going to make the postseason, just lose to Tampa and let fans kind of move on and start talking about the draft, something that maybe actually gets us excited.
I bet they lose both of those. Cincinnati, Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers is going to come in. He's going to drop 400 on us.
Oh, Jason. All right, let's take a quick time out. We got to come back. I don't want to say that I got sour grapes, but I do want to discuss how the bowl selection went for Michigan and Michigan State. My logical brain is telling me it's okay, but my irrational fan side is really pissed off. Find out why next on the Motor City Sports Rant. Jason, I want to tell you about our host site, Podomatic.com. When Adam and I first started this project, we were looking for a place to host all of our recorded audio, and thank goodness we found Podomatic.com. At this point in time, we've recorded well over 700 to 800 weekly podcasts, and we've only used one host site. Why do we use them? They're a company that's been around for over a decade, very easy to use. When we record this podcast, boom, we upload it to the internet, we go to Podomatic, and within 5 minutes, we generate a quality link so that all of our supporters across the country and even overseas can find us. If you're listening to us and you're saying to yourself, I think I can start a project, I think I can start a podcast, Doc and Jock, Jason, Vito, Jerry, Steve Dace, all the hosts here on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network, we're going to recommend one host site, Podomatic.com.
What your city like? Your city like? Your city like? What your city like? Your city like? Walk from, gotta keep that blick on you. Park at your crib, how my young niggas sit on you. You a killer or a snitch, you gon' kill me a trick on. Fuck with them. What your city like? My city be shaking that bag. My city got hoes that shit no niggas, but even the hoes get hit in their head. What your city like? My city ain't changed the culture. I be with boats. I can be with you for days, and I be the nigga that poke you. What your city like? My city the home of me, home of the riots. My city violent. Niggas will tell you they love you, but really they don't even like you. What your city like?
Jason, what the hell is this?
What your city like? By Detroit rapper T Grizzly.
It's not bad. Not my cup of tea, though. A little strong.
It's got a decent beat. It's a little hard. I know you. Yeah.
All right, Jason, before we get into Michigan State and their bowl selections after the season, what'd you make of the top 4? Ohio State correct to be left out? Or do you say, you know what, Alabama is truly one of the top 4 teams, although they didn't play anybody, they got 1 loss. Ohio State had 2. Last year they were the beneficiary of what Alabama got lucky with this year, where last year Ohio State got into the playoff without having to play and win in the conference game, and this year the advantage was given to Alabama.
I think it's really hard. You really could go either way because both are very good teams. I'm one of those guys who thinks you should respect a conference championship. I think Ohio State, they were playing a little bit better towards the end of the season. I think if I have to ding the committee for anything, I got to ding them for that it didn't seem like they looked at what team is playing good football right now. And yes, Alabama, they went the entire season. Towards the end of the season, they did look like they slowed down a little bit. I think they had the scare against Mississippi State, I think, and then they fell to Auburn. It definitely hurt them. I mean, obviously, it didn't really hurt them that they lost to Auburn since they're in the college football playoff. I think you look at Ohio State, that the huge loss to Iowa just absolutely devastated their claim to be in there. The other loss was to Oklahoma, who they're in the college football playoff. I think if that Iowa loss was a little bit closer, I think you're probably looking at Ohio State in this, but because it was just such a devastating loss for them, it's hard to say. I mean, Alabama is still a really good team, but I do think Ohio State should have been in there.
Now, for me, I have no interest in the top 4. I mean, I'll peek in just as a fan, but I'm not interested at all in the contest.
You'll watch the national championship game, won't you?
Yeah, I will, but I have no juice involved. I'm not an individual that is going to invest too much time.
Would you have any chips involved, even if Ohio State was in there? Not really. Right. If it's not your team, or if it's not your hated rival Michigan in there, there's no real reason to get super excited about it. I mean, yeah, I'll get excited because it's big time football, and these are supposedly the 4 best teams. But I go into it, I have pretty much zero rooting interest. I might root for Baker Mayfield just because the dude seems like he's a baller, and I actually wouldn't mind seeing the Lions draft him at some point. Maybe put some pressure on Matty Ballgame.
All right, let's turn our attention to Michigan State and Michigan. Michigan State had an opportunity, and because of how things went, obviously Ohio State, many thought, well, if they went to the playoff, then there was an opportunity for Michigan State to get a New Year's Day bowl. Well, unfortunately, Ohio State not getting that opportunity, they slotted basically into the Citrus Bowl, which potentially knocked out Michigan State. So now you have 2 scenarios. They could either go to the Outback Bowl New Year's Day, or they can go to the Holiday Bowl. And this
you can't leave out Wisconsin in there, too.
Exactly. And so you look at it, and we understand it's a committee. These bowls vote. And the reason why state fans are offended, and I know people will say, look, stop including Michigan in all your thoughts. Michigan's a brand. You should know this. You should know your role. The Outback Bowl is a little bit more prestigious. It's a New Year's Day bowl. There's a symbolism to it. And so for a team that finished lower than you, a team that you beat, to receive that beneficial treatment and play in a New Year's Day bowl is a little bit offensive. And I know people will say, look, it's a vote. You have to take into account money. You got to take into account how the fan base is going to travel. But just based on respect, I can't help but feel disrespected in that Michigan State should have been playing on January 1st in the Outback Bowl. But a committee voted, and they voted Michigan. I understand why. It doesn't mean I have to damn near like it. I feel like that for Michigan State fans, we got to wait on a Thursday to watch it like 9, 10 o'clock on FS1. For exposure, for the program, I like what Mark D'Antonio said. He said, look, I'm going to keep focusing on defeating Michigan and go from there. So he was able to get his dig in, but the players should look at it as disrespect because it's a situation where a better bowl, an easier venue for our fans to travel to was not available for us because of a vote. I mean, a ticket to San Diego is not that cheap. A ticket to Florida, you can at least manage. The prices are different. The ability for our fan base to travel out there is different. It's just one of those things where logically I can tell myself why. I know why. Michigan's a brand. We understand it, okay? They have a lot of rich, alumni. They got a lot of cachet throughout the world. I get it. You can go to Italy and you'll see someone with a big block M because of the brand. I get it. Doesn't mean I have to like it. And I feel like just based on Michigan's resume in the last 5 years, I feel like when you go head-to-head, Michigan State, I feel like this decision was wrong by the Outback Bowl. I think it was a wrong decision.
John, I am an elevated Michigan State Spartan fan. Honestly, I don't really care. It's
I understand your logic,
nice.
but what about the optics of it? It's just like looking at, okay, they're comparing the two programs. An independent party picked Michigan over Michigan State. It's like one of those things where, don't you remember when you were a kid playing dodgeball and, you always wanted to be part of the good team and you wanted to be selected? I know that feeling because I was always picked last. And I was always the guy that was kicking the home runs. When you run up and you kick the ball into the stage and you see the ball hit the curtains.
You weren't hitting the home runs.
I was kicking the ball through the curtain, damn it. I was kicking the ball. Listen, this is what offends me. This is probably why it's coming out. I would kick the ball into the curtains repeatedly. It wasn't like I was not consistent. I was a home run kickballer. And then the pick would come again, and I was not popular. I'd pick last, okay? And then, what I'm most offended by? I was a Little Leaguer. In the Little League, they pick one person. When you play Little League, your team votes and casts a vote to send one person to the All-Star game. Now, I was the guy with the most hits, but they were all singles. I was a singles contact hitter. I could hit the ball. I didn't have the home run power yet at 9 years old. But we picked the most popular kid at school and the kid on the team who hit like one home run and who was the pitcher. And I was so offended, I was almost going to cry there because I was the most valuable player on the team. And they picked they picked the most popular kid. And it happens again now being a Lions fan where we get our teeth kicked in every week, and you're a Spartan fan where you beat Michigan 8 out of 10 years and you get a chance to get picked like my kickball team, and they pick the popular kid again.
You got some deep-seated issues, John, and it seems like you need a few podcasts to voice your opinion to work through all this. But
isn't that why I do like 7 of them?
I know. And so you say it's about optics and how you look at it, and it is. It has to be how you look at it.
Michigan gets picked.
You can look at it that way. You can look at it that Michigan gets picked over Michigan State again. And if that's how you want to feel,
that's the facts.
If that's how
the Outback Bowl voted,
listen to me. Come on,
the facts. They
listen
voted
to me, John.
And they picked Michigan.
If that's how you want to look at it, you can be fine. You can feel like that. You can feel slighted. You can take that every year, and you can feel good when you beat Michigan every single year. But this is how I look at it. All these games, unless you are in the college football semifinal games to go to the college football championship game, these bowl games don't matter. You're still in a pretty decent bowl game. You're still playing a Pac-12 team, a pretty decent Pac-12 team in Washington State. All the bowl games besides the semifinal and the championship, they're the same to me. The one thing you get from it is you get the entire month of December to practice, which I value that more than anything. Is that we have a young team that we can, last year we didn't get this opportunity. We didn't get to take all the young guys from last year and have a whole nother month to get ready into this season. You have all of that this year, and you can build on what you accomplished this season. And that's the way that I look at it. And next year, we can focus on getting back to Indianapolis and trying to win a Big Ten championship, and maybe even, putting our names in there for the college football playoff. That's what I'm focused on. I'm not worried about Holiday Bowl. I'm not worried about Outback Bowl. I'm not worried about Chick-fil-A, whatever kind of bowl you want to talk about. Just go out and do your business, and you're going to win. You're not going to win the national championship this year. You're not winning the Big Ten championship. The season's over. This is a throwaway game. I mean, no, is it not a throwaway game? I get it. That there's recruiting aspects of it that we've been in games in Florida, and what I liked what Mark D'Antonio said is that it gives us an opportunity to go over to California and for those guys to see us. Washington State, they're a Pac-12 team. They recruit in that area, so that there's going to be recruits there who are looking at what Washington State's doing. They get an opportunity now to see what Michigan State brings, and maybe just maybe they say, what they got going over there in East Lansing, I like what's going on there.
Okay, I'm walking off the ledge, but it's just one of those things where what is it going to take? And like we've discussed, what's it going to take for Michigan State to be a national brand where a group of people vote Michigan State in? I mean, I know it was nice. They earned their spot.
You also realize we're coming off 3-9, right?
Yeah, I understand that, but this is a team that they made the college football playoff.
I get it. The people who select this stuff are dumb.
Jason, I am still angry because of the fact that it's just the notion that a bowl would select our rival who did less. There's another opportunity, too, in that Michigan State's opponent in the Pac-12, Washington State, presents a huge challenge. I feel like Michigan probably has a decent matchup versus South Carolina to win the game, and I want to win the game. I want to be walking out there the victor, and Washington State has a solid offense, and those teams with speed and things like that, there's a chance that Michigan and Michigan State are going to end the year with the same record.
Well, don't you want that opportunity, though, to really go out there and prove that you can beat this team?
Well, obviously, I want Michigan State to win and Michigan to lose. That's what I would like, but I think it's going to be flipped. I think State's going to lose, and Michigan's going to win.
But if Michigan State actually goes out there and wins, which I'm not going to count them out. I'm not going to count them out of this game because, I feel like they've been counted out. You count them out against Stanford. You count them out against Baylor. What do they do against both of those teams? They went out, won those games. And you go out there, you take care of business, you win your game, and you make more statements.
I just wish that the Holiday Bowl and the Outback Bowl were on the same day, January 1st. I mean, it's a night game on a Thursday. Some people got to be working. Right? If you don't have the opportunity, I think it's a Thursday night game ahead of a Friday. So that's really fair, where Michigan can also be seen by the entire country on a day where most people have the day off. I think it's a national holiday, January 1st. How's that fair?
You can also look at it this way that, you're on a different night. You're all if they play.
We get the whole Thursday night to ourselves.
Hey, whatever
on FS1.
And if you're playing on the same day as Michigan and you're playing at the same time as Michigan, you're gonna have to split time then at that point.
Well, I guess we have to hope that the Spartans go out there, take it seriously, and Coach D'Antonio, is going to use this for motivation. He's going to be telling his players, look, you got disrespected. So I think that it does help Michigan State and boost their chance to actually win the game. But I'm just hoping that in the next couple years, with the continued success, hopefully the trajectory of Michigan State, and the fact is that the program is being built up, and if Michigan actually loses this game, a 5-loss team going on the road next year against 3 rivals on the road, that this could snowball for Michigan should they lose this game. So the pressure, I believe, is heightened for Michigan to actually win this game. But it's just a scenario in which you would like to be recognized for your achievements when it's due. And in that situation, the way you in this situation, the way you get recognized is when you have a bowl game that can select 2 teams, you actually select the proper team. And I know people will say, don't worry about Michigan, don't worry about that. But when you're the popular kid, you never care about that. It's when you're the team that's trying to strive for national prominence that you scratch and claw. And I can relate to that being a podcast, because each and every day, Adam tells me, and we got to just go tell people what a podcast is. No, it's not a snippet. We do shows. No, it's not second rate. We are on the same level as radio. We do the same things. When you're in that category, I can relate, and I can take it personally when you're told by media people, you're just a podcast. No, I'm not just a podcast. And no, I'm not just a certain thing where you categorize me or put me in a box. We're a talented network. We're doing some things, and we would like the proper recognition. And it's nice to get the proper recognition, but for me, when I tell Adam, I like the philosophy of kicking the door down, banging on the door, and trying to get our way in. And I have an announcement to make. I'm going to live a dream. It's going to be amazing.
Let's hear it.
The 16th of December, the 2 college basketball games that are going to take place at Little Caesars Arena, they have let me in. And I was telling the wife, look, I could make myself in a national embarrassment by being like, Coach Izzo, I love you from 2000. That was the best experience of my life. I was a junior. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. It was so awesome. Can you just sign my autograph? You'd be like, what the hell? In front of all the media? My wife's like, you're not going to be like a fanboy, are you? I'm like, I'm trying my best not to be, but I'm going to be in the media room with Tom Izzo, one of my idols as a college basketball fan. But I'm going to put on the professional hat. I might not even ask a question. I might just take video. But the work at Oakland and Detroit has culminated in an opportunity to cover one of my alma mater's basketball games. And it should be a good contest, Oakland versus Michigan State. Should be a high-scoring affair. Yay for me.
Congrats, Doc.
Should I try and ask a question and cultivate a question that can make national news?
Hey, I mean...
Coach Izzo, is this a season where you have to take home a national title to overcome the stigma that you're just a one-and-done average coach?
That would... Now, if you do that, that'd be awesome.
I'm just running through questions that I could ask just to get my name out there, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to respect the man. And what I've been doing, for those that have been out there, is I have been asking a lot of questions to Greg Campy. He answers them honestly, but the last couple events I've attended, I've just taken notes as to what's asked. And I've asked people that have been friends of the podcast kind of how to ask. And so in my growth, I'm learning how to ask good questions. I'm learning how to do follow-ups. And it's been fun just sit back and just be part of the experience. And so Little Caesars Arena, invaded by DSP, December 16th, baby. All's good, right?
Look for that. I'm sure we'll see a podcast or some snippet of whatever you collect from that.
And definitely probably see a picture of me high-fiving Tom Izzo or in the background there just with a big, huge smile on my face like, what's up with this guy?
That'd be awesome.
All right, Jason. That was a good talk. Thank you, Jason. You helped me overcome my inferiority complex.
Yeah, maybe we'll start up a kickball league this year.
Very cool. That was very good, sir. I look forward to next week.
All right, man. For John, I'm Jason. See you later, guys.
Okay, nice, idiot. You. Bye-bye.
Good day, sir. I said good day.
All right. Take care now. Bye-bye then.
Loser.